The garden. End of section. The Bible opens with God building something. Not a temple, not a religion, not a code of law, a home. He makes a world, and inside the world he plants a garden. And inside the garden he puts people, not to perform for him, not to earn their keep, but to live there, to tend it, and to walk with him in the cool of the day. That last part is the whole point. The picture on the first pages of Scripture is not people working their way up toward a distant God. It is God and people in the same place, unhurried and unafraid, together. Hold that picture. Everything that goes wrong in the rest of the story is measured against it, and everything God does afterward is to get back to it. In the middle of the garden he sets two trees and names them together, the tree of life and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. He gives the man the run of the place, and one assignment besides enjoying it. The English says to work it and keep it. Read quickly. Keep it sounds like gardening. Weed it, water it, tend the rows. It isn't. That one word is going to matter more than it looks, and it is worth stopping over before the story moves, because it comes back at the end of this chapter, carrying a sword. Look closer. The word translated keep it is shamar. It is not the gardener's tending word. It is the sentries. It is the verb the priests and Levites are later given for the sanctuary, to keep guard over the holy things, so that no unauthorized hand comes near and someone dies. Numbers 18:5, 153. It is the verb for keeping the way of the Lord against abandoning it. Genesis 18:19. It means to watch, to guard, to keep a thing against what would breach it. So the man is not only set among the trees to cultivate them, he is posted. He is given a charge to protect, and a charge to protect implies, by its nature, something to protect against. You do not post a guard over a place where nothing could ever go wrong. The word itself quietly tells you a threat exists before any threat appears. And the reason that matters is what becomes of the same word at the far end of the chapter. When the man is driven out, cherubim and a turning sword are stationed at the garden Lishmor, the same Hebrew word as shamar, in its to keep form, to guard the way to the tree of life. Genesis 3:24. The guarding does not vanish when the man fails it. It is taken out of his hands and set with a blade against him. The man's first job and the angel's last are one Hebrew word. Walk on. So the man is a keeper before he is anything else. Hold on to that. There's one more thing he is given before the trouble comes, and it matters more than it looks. God brings the animals to him to see what he would call them, and whatever the man called each living creature, that was its name. Genesis 2:19. This is not a child naming pets. In this world is an act of authority and discernment. God himself named the day, the night, the seas, and then hands the naming of every living creature to the man and lets his words stand. Whatever he called a thing, that was its name. The man is given the authority to look at a creature, see into its nature, and speak what it is, and God defers to his judgment. So before the serpent ever speaks, the man has already been given dominion over the creatures and the discernment to read them. Hold that next to the charge to guard. He is posted as a sentry, and he is granted authority over the very kind of creature trouble is about to arrive in. Now the garden itself, it is a garden of yes. Of every tree in the garden, God says, you may freely eat, every one. Then one tree, and one instruction, not that one, and the day you eat of it, you will surely die. People remember this story as a long list of rules with a garden somewhere behind it. It is the other way around. It is a world of open-handed abundance with a single fence in it. And the fence is there for a reason the man is not yet told. Look closer. How the yes and the no are spoken. It is worth hearing how the permission and the prohibition are built, because the Hebrew puts them at the same volume. You may surely eat is akol tokel, a verb doubled on itself, the Hebrew way of leaning hard on a word. The yes is emphatic. And you shall surely die is mot tamut, the very same construction. God does not murmur the permission and shout the threat. He says both at full strength in the same grammatical shape. Keep that shape in your ear, the doubled surely this verb, because within a few sentences someone is going to pick it up and turn it over. Walk on, into that garden, the one fence, a keeper posted to guard it, and a creature he has authority over, comes a question. There is a creature, and it is shrewd, and it does not begin with a lie. It begins with a question that quietly edits the garden. Did God really say you can't eat from the trees? Not the tree, the trees. The abundance is deleted in the asking, and only the restriction is left in view. The woman answers, and the conversation goes where these conversations go. The fruit looks good. It is taken. It is eaten. It is handed over and eaten again. And the promised opening of the eyes happens, but the first thing the eyes see is their own nakedness, and the first thing the two of them do is sew leaves together to cover it. Look closer. The craft, the addition, and the wisdom they reached for. The text plays before the creature even speaks. The man and woman were Arumim, naked. Genesis 2:25. The creature was Arum, shrewd. 3:1. The same sound, set side by side on purpose. And the pun is not decoration, it is the trap, named one beat before it springs. Arum is not a bad word, it is the word for prudence. The shrewdness Proverbs praises in the wise. What the creature has and dangles is exactly that, a wisdom, a shrewdness, the man and woman do not yet possess. The serpent's whole cell is the promise of Arum. You will be like God, knowing, and they reach for it. They grasp at the shrewdness, and what they get is the other word, not Arum, but Arumim. They reach for wisdom and receive only the knowledge that they are exposed. The crafty one used craft to sell them craft, and the bare ones came away barer. The two words are one letter apart, and so is the distance between what they were promised and what they got. And the first corruption of God's words in the Bible is not the creature's lie. It comes earlier, from the one being tempted. The woman repeats the command and adds to it. She says God forbade even to touch the tree. There is no such word in what God actually said. 2:17. The command is padded before it is ever denied. Then the denial, and here is its craft. That is mut tamut, God's exact emphatic construction from the warning, with one word lo, not, set in front of it. He does not invent a rival claim. He takes God's own sentence, in God's own grammar, and turns it inside out. The first lie in Scripture is built out of God's own words, with a single negative slipped in. Walk on, and the keeper is not somewhere else while this happens. The text places him there. The woman also gave some to her husband who was with her, and he ate. Genesis 3:6. With her. The man posted to guard who held authority over the creature, who had the discernment to name its very nature, stands beside the whole exchange, and says nothing. He does not challenge the creature he outranks. End of section. He does not guard the one he was given to protect. He does not speak the one true word the moment was asking for. He watches the breach walk in, and then he takes the fruit from her hand. The first failure in the garden is not only in eating. It is a sentry standing down at his post. Then they hear God in the garden, the way they always had, and for the first time they hide. God asks the first question anyone is asked in the Bible, "Where are you?" It is not for information. It is asked of someone hiding by the one who knows exactly where he is. The answer is blame, running every direction at once. The man blames the woman, and behind her, God forgiving her. The woman blames the creature. Neither of them says the one thing that would have been true. I did this, the three words confession is made of. What had been face to face is now a man behind a tree, pointing. Walk on, so now there is distance where there had been none. God speaks judgment, to the creature, then the woman, then the man, in that order. But before a single sentence lands on the two people, while he's still speaking to the creature, God says something that should not be possible in a scene like this. He makes a promise. He says there will be war between the creature and the woman, between its line and hers, and one of hers will crush its head, and it will manage only to strike his heel. That is the whole of the good news in a single sentence, spoken into a curse, before the man and woman are even sentenced, before they have taken one step out of the garden. Someone is coming. From her line, he will end the creature, and it will cost him a wound. Everything after this page, every covenant, every prophet, every rescue, the entire long road the story now walks, is that one promise being kept. Look closer, the first promise, word by word. It is worth slowing all the way down here, because this sentence is the seed of the whole story, and the Hebrew is doing exact work. The word for offspring is zera, seed. It is singular in form but elastic in reach. It can mean a whole line of descendants, or one particular descendant. Hebrew decides which by the words attached to it. Here the attached words are the narrowest available. Of the woman's seed it says who, he, third person, masculine, singular, and the verb is singular too. The verb is shuf, and it is rare. It occurs in only 3 passages of the entire Hebrew Bible: Genesis 3:15, Job 9:17, Psalm 139:11, so it carries no worn idiom. And it is the same verb in both halves of the line. He shall shuff your head, you shall shuff his heel. The verb does not change, only the target changes. Rosh, the head, against Akev, the heel. One kind of blow, two outcomes. A strike to the heel is a wound. A strike to the head is an ending. The rest of Scripture reads it exactly as it stands. Paul writes that the God of peace will soon crush Satan under your feet. Romans 16:20, the head blow, in so many words. He presses the singular itself. The promise was to the seed, he argues, who is Christ, not seeds, as of many. Galatians 3:16. And the last book of the Bible still has the same two combatants locked together, the ancient serpent and the woman and the rest of her offspring. Revelation 12. The promise is made here, it is not kept here. Who he is, the verse does not yet say. Walk on, then the sentences fall, and they are not one sentence shared three ways. They are three sentences, each cut to fit the one who receives it, and the fit is the thing to watch. Each party is judged in the precise sphere they were given, and you can read the failure backward, out of the verdict. To the creature, a sentence shaped to its nature. The belly, the dust, and the war it will lose. The head blow already named. To the woman, a sentence shaped to her sphere. The word is itzavon, and it is worth holding carefully, because it is almost always read as the pain of the delivery room alone, and it is larger than that. It is the same word God uses 3 verses later for the man. In itzavon you shall eat of it, 3:17, and his is plainly not childbirth. It is the toil of bringing forth from ground that now resists. Hers is the toil of bringing forth and raising life in a world that now resists it. Not merely the pain of an hour, but the long labor of the whole sphere she was made for, conceiving, bearing, and rearing, now made costly and grieved. The text does not say what that bringing forth would have been in an unbroken world. It does not give us a before to measure against, and we should not invent one. It says only that the sphere of life-bringing now carries the weight of the curse. And the text shows you what that weight looks like before you have to imagine it. Turn one page, and the first child she brings forth and raises is Cain. The itzavon of rearing is not an abstraction. It is a mother who bore a son and buried another by that son's hand. That is the sphere sentence, made flesh in the very next chapter. To the man a sentence shaped to his fear and to his failure. The ground he was given to work and keep now fights him. Thorns, sweat, labor that resists, all the days of his life. And at the end of it, a road. You are dust, and to dust you will return. The dying God warned of does not arrive that afternoon as a lightning bolt. It arrives as a direction. The man is turned around and set walking back toward the ground he was taken from, and the walk itself is the sentence being carried out. And then the heaviest clause of the man's sentence, the one that is not about the ground at all. He is driven from the garden, and the way back is guarded against him. Read what that answers. A man who had only eaten would be a man under the curse of the ground. But this man is removed from his post, and the post is restaffed, because the failure was never only the eating. He was given dominion, and he laid it down before the creature. He was given a charge to guard, and he stood at his post and watched the breach come in. The sentence is shaped to the whole of it. The keeper who would not keep is relieved of the watch, and a guard that will not stand down, cherubim and a sword that does not negotiate with serpents, takes the post he abandoned. You do not answer an eating with a sword at the gate. You answer a failure to guard with a better guard. The punishment tells you what the crime was. 2 things happen before the gate closes, and they are the 2 things to carry out of this chapter. God makes clothing out of skins and dresses them himself. Something has died, quietly and at God's own hand, to cover what they could not cover for themselves. Their own sown leaves are not mentioned again. What that covering finally means, the road comes back to. For now only this, the covering that holds is God's, and it costs a life. Second, the way back is shut. God sets the cherubim and the turning sword east of the garden, not to destroy the tree of life, but to guard the way to it. That distinction is the hinge of everything that follows. The tree is not burned, the garden is not erased, the way is closed and kept. A shut door is still a door. Look closer. The same word returned. This is where the first word of the chapter comes back. The man was put in the garden l'shomra, to keep it, Genesis 2:15. The posted sentry word. He did not keep it. Now, with the man driven out, the cherubim and the turning sword are stationed lishmor. The same root, the same form, to guard the way to the tree of life. 324. The charge the man was given is taken out of his hands and set with a blade against him. And notice precisely what is guarded, not the tree, the way to it. A guarded way is a closed way that still exists, which means it is, in principle, a way that can be opened. The chapter ends on that word, because the text ends there, and the whole rest of the story is what it costs to get past that sword. Walk on. So the scene is set, and the whole story is already standing in it. A home, made for walking with God. A single fence, and a break that was more than a bite. A keeper who laid down his authority, abandoned his watch, and ate. A promise spoken into the wreckage before anyone takes a step. A covering God provides at the cost of a life. 3 sentences, each cut to the sphere of the one who earned it. And a road east, away from a guarded gate, with a word of hope behind it that the man cannot yet see kept. He goes out not knowing who the seed is, or how anyone ever gets past a sword like that. Neither do we. Yet, that is the walk. It starts here, and it is going home.